There are threats lurking out there, lurking beyond the galaxy we know. Threats so terrifying that even the Empire's dark ambition might pale in comparison. What if I told you that one of the greatest secrets the Emperor might have known was not just about the Sith, or the rebels, or even the Jedi? What if Palpatine had knowledge of a terrifying force beyond the galaxy, waiting to invade? A force so alien, so ruthless, that it could have completely reshaped the course of the Star Wars galaxy. In today's video, we're going to uncover the chilling legacy of the Yuuzhan Vong and explore the fascinating possibilities that Palpatine, the very Emperor we've all come to despise, was preparing for their arrival. Not as a hero, mind you, but perhaps with an ulterior motive. Could this empire have been more than just a political power grab? Was it in some way a defense against something even worse lurking in the darkness? Let's take a dive into this long-forgotten threat and see how it may have changed the way we view Palpatine and the entire Star Wars saga. Remember, if you like our content, like, share, subscribe, and please don't be afraid to leave a comment down below. I absolutely love discussing Star Wars with all of you. It's what this channel's all about. The Yuuzhan Vong didn't come from any part of the Star Wars galaxy that we've come to know and love. They were an invasive species from a far-off distant galaxy, one that lies beyond the reach of hyperspace and the known navigational routes. These beings were utterly alien in every sense, not just to the people of the galaxy, but to the very fabric of Star Wars itself. The Yuuzhan Vong had no place in the Force, something unheard of in the galaxy, where the Force ties everything together. They were a society based on bioengineering, using living creatures and plants for technology. From their organic warships to their weapons and even their armor, their entire culture was built around the concept of pain and sacrifice, which they saw as pure and sacred, marking a stark contrast to the technological world we are used to in Star Wars. They rejected technology in favor of living, breathing machinery. They were a people driven by a religious zeal, with an uncompromising hatred for everything that had to do with the Force. They saw the Jedi, the Sith, and the Force itself as blasphemous. But their hatred for the Force wasn't the only thing that made them so dangerous. They were relentless. Their invasion of the galaxy wasn't just about conquering planets in a traditional sense. They didn't come with hopes of ruling or enslaving. They came to destroy, to reshape. The Yuuzhan Vong sought to tear down ecosystems, transform worlds into living, breathing abominations. They weren't after political power. They wanted to force a galaxy into their image, and they didn't care what it took to do so. When the Yuuzhan Vong finally made their move, it was not with the subtlety or finesse of the Sith, but with brutal, terrifying efficiency. They didn't just invade planets, they tore them apart. Their weapons were alive, pulsating with organic malice, destroying everything in their wake. Entire ecosystems were wiped out as the Vong reshaped the worlds they conquered into twisted versions of their own planet. They didn't just kill, they transformed. They didn't come to rule, they came to ruin. Their most infamous moment came when they invaded Coruscant, the very heart of the galaxy, the capital. Once a gleaming jewel of civilization, fell to the Vong and was reshaped in the Yuuzhan Vong, a dark mirror of their homeworld. It wasn't just the loss of the planet, it was the symbolic fall of the galaxy's spirit. The government was decimated, the Jedi were pushed to their limits, and everything we thought we knew about the galaxy changed in an instant. This was not just another rebellion, it was an existential crisis. The invasion wasn't just about force or power, it was a culture war. The Yuuzhan Vong had a fundamental belief that the galaxy needed to be remade in their image. They were willing to pay the price, any price, to do it. They even managed to break through the Jedi Order's defenses in ways no one thought possible. The Force, their greatest weapon, was rendered useless against the Vong. They were immune to Force powers, meaning the Jedi could no longer rely on their most powerful asset. In a galaxy ruled by Force-sensitive beings, this was a devastating blow. The arrival of the Yuuzhan Vong marked a profound shift in the Star Wars universe. For the first time, the galaxy was faced with an external threat that wasn't born of the Force. There was no Sith Lord pulling the strings, no dark conspiracy at work. This was an alien race that came from a galaxy far beyond, armed with unrelenting drive to reshape the very galaxy they invaded. They represented something new, something foreign to the Star Wars mythos, and their arrival brought a level of seriousness and brutality that we hadn't seen before. A much-needed rated R Star Wars. What made the Yuuzhan Vong so impactful wasn't just their destructive potential, but the themes they introduced into the story. Their invasion forced the characters, and by extension the fans, to confront the fragility of the galaxy. In previous stories, the villains were often internal, Sith Lords, the Empire, the Separatists, but the Yuuzhan Vong came from beyond, pushing the galaxy into a new reality, where the stakes weren't just about power struggles, it was about survival, sacrifice, and the question of what it meant to live in a galaxy where everything you knew was being torn apart, something they stole for the Star Wars The Old Republic storyline. The Vong also brought a darker tone to Star Wars. Where the Sith and the Empire were all about control, the Vong were about erasure, about bringing destruction, building the universe, and reshaping it into their image, according to their own twisted vision. The level of violence and horror they brought with them was unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen, and it left scars that would last far beyond the events of the war itself. But what if, just maybe, Palpatine knew? What if the Emperor and his dark wisdom had foreseen the arrival of Yuuzhan Vong? What if his actions, his creation of the Empire, weren't solely about domination and control, but about preparing the galaxy for a threat that no one else could have imagined?
Everything is proceeding as I have foreseen.
In the Legends novel Outbound Flight, there's an interesting moment where Palpatine supports a mission to explore the unknown regions, only to later sabotage it. He claimed it was to protect the galaxy, but what if it was because he knew there were dangers out there that no one else could fathom? The Emperor may not have been trying to secure power for his own sake. He might have been preparing for an enemy so deadly, so alien, that only someone with his ruthless vision could have understood the true stakes. Moreover, we know that Palpatine trusted Thrawn, the brilliant tactician who later became a key figure in the post-Empire galaxy. Thrawn's warning about an unknown threat in the Outer Rim are often seen as signs of his strategic keen mind. But what if there was also an indication that Palpatine himself was preparing for something far greater? The superweapons, the Star Destroyer, the massive fleet, all of this might have been a contingency plan. If the Yuuzhan Vong were to invade, the galaxy would need more than just a military force. It would need a defense infrastructure capable of withstanding an enemy that could erase worlds. We've long thought Palpatine as an ultimate villain, a puppet master pulling the strings of the galaxy for his own gain. But what if his actions were, in some twisted way, a form of preparation? What if he saw the Yuuzhan Vong coming, and everything he did, his rise to power, his creation of the Empire, his ruthless consolidation of power, was all part of a larger plan to ensure that, when the galaxy did face the ultimate test, it would have the strength to survive? Palpatine may have been a monster, but what if the galaxy itself needed a monster to survive? His empire wasn't just about ruling, it was about building the defenses necessary to hold back a threat that would have torn the galaxy apart. We can debate whether or not he was right, or whether his methods justify the ends. But in the face of an invincible enemy like the Yuuzhan Vong, his actions might have been the only option. It's a terrifying thought, but it's also an intriguing one. Perhaps, in his twisted mind, Palpatine wasn't just a tyrant. He was a protector of the galaxy, preparing for a war no one else saw coming. The Yuuzhan Vong might have been a brief chapter in Star Wars legends, but their impact cannot be understated. They brought a level of darkness, brutality, and an existential risk to the galaxy that forced even the most optimistic heroes to face the harsh realities of war. They were a force that reshaped not just the galaxy, but the way we understood Star Wars itself. Could the Yuuzhan Vong be brought into the crappy Star Wars canon that Disney has created? If they did, how would the galaxy be divided and fractured as it was before? Would it react to the threat in the same way? Would the current state of the Star Wars fandom be so caught up in infighting? Would they even recognize the stakes or the true enemy that's finally emerged? In the end, the Yuuzhan Vong were a reminder, and are a reminder. Even in a universe as vast and rich as Star Wars, there are forces out there that no one can predict, and when they come, we'll have to be united to face them, or risk losing everything. Whether we're talking about the galaxy or our fandom here on Earth, the question remains the same. How do we fight an enemy that's just so powerful, but completely unknown? That's it for today. I hope you've enjoyed this video. A reminder, again, please leave comments, subscribe, share. Don't forget to hit that little notification bell so you don't miss out on any of our content. These things really help the channel grow, especially the comments. It helps a lot with the algorithm. As a final note, I just want to say to you, the fans out there, not just the fans of this channel, but the fans of Star Wars in general, the time has come for two things to happen. The fan canon needs to be established. We need to set the standards. And two, it is time that we unite. This infighting must stop. We cannot continue on the way we have. Anyways, peace, love, and may the Force be with you. All of you, always.